Hi everyone, welcome to Macrame. My name is Nicole, and in today's DIY tutorial we will be going over a 3-tier plant pod. So I was actually inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest of a 3-tier plant hanger on a wall. It wasn't made with macrame. It looked like it was a plastic plant holder that had 3 tiers to it. And then that kind of gave me the idea to make a plant pod that you can hang on the wall using the same idea with 3 tiers. So if you're looking for a plant pod holder that holds multiple plants and it's longer that you can decorate on your wall or even hang on the ceiling, then this might be right for you. Although this is a beginner-friendly pattern, I would recommend you practicing a bunch of the knots that we used in the tutorial first before attempting them. So if you know the reverse lark's head knot plus half hitch and the double half hitch knot well, the gathering knot and the square knot, these are all the knots that are used in this tutorial. If you have practiced these knots a few times, then you can definitely try to make this plant pod holder. If you are completely brand new to macrame and want to practice another pattern first, we do offer a macrame starter kit that goes over the 6 basic knots of macrame in a step-by-step format. So if you're interested in trying that out first, you can check out the link in the video description below. I hope you guys will enjoy this 3-tier plant pod tutorial. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and don't forget to click subscribe on our Macrame channel for more tutorials just like this, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. And with that, let's get started. Before we begin, you will need some materials and supplies. I've used only 3mm cotton cord for this pattern and nothing else. The cord I will be using in this tutorial is a 3mm single strand cotton cord from our rainbow cord line in Natural Shimmer. So as you can see, there are gold strands spun with the cotton cord. For this particular color, there are 3 thin gold strands spun with the cord. If you are interested in this cord, check out the link in the video description below. To begin, we're going to take 1 strand of cord at 350 centimeters long, and we're going to fold it in half, and on the loop end we're going to make an overhand knot about 1 inch or 1.5 inches down from the loop. Then, taking a strand of 400 centimeter long cord, we're going to take the center of the cord and we're going to wrap it behind the loop that we had just made and make a square knot with the far left and far right cords and the 2 cords underneath the loop as the anchor cords. So we're going to first start off with 1 half knot, which is essentially overhand knot here, and then we're going to make an opposite half knot to finish this first square knot. Once the square knot is made, pin or tape the top part down so that you can easily knot with this pattern. So now that we have made our first square knot, we're going to make our second square knot about 1 inch down from the first square knot. So as you can see here, I have 1 inch of space between that first square knot and the second one that I'm making. Then once this second one is tightened, we're going to slide it up to meet the first one. And then you can see there are little loops on the side. We're going to repeat this again underneath, but this time we're going to leave a little bit more space, so 1.5 to 2 inches. Slide it up, and then you can see that there are now bigger loops on the left and right sides. Repeat once more underneath, but this time we're going to go back to original spacing of 1 inch. Once the square knots are complete, we're going to split the vertical cords into two groups of two, so one set on the left and one set on the right. Then, taking a strand of 350 centimeter long cord, we're going to attach it onto the left two cords using a reverse lark's head plus half hitch. So that means take your loop end and make a reverse lark's head knot, then take the cord to the right and make a half hitch knot around the two anchor cords on the right side and through the loop. Pull on the cord to tighten, and then do the same thing with the left cord on the left side. So make a half hitch knot over the two anchor cords, pull and tighten. Then slide it up underneath the square knot. Do the same thing on the right side now. Once you've completed one reverse lark's head knot plus half hitch on both sides, you're going to repeat this on both sides for a total of 7 more times, so 8 times total on both sides. Now this next part is fairly simple. All you have to do is take the middle 4 cords, the middle 4 vertical cords, and make a square knot. We're going to start our square knot pattern for the pocket of the plant pod. For this pattern, we're not going to make our square knots super tight amongst each other. There's going to be a little bit of spacing in between each row of square knots. So we just want to make sure that there is consistent spacing throughout, and then making sure that the square knot rows are not too tight amongst each other. Now underneath, we're going to start another row of square knots. We're going to take the 2 left cords underneath the square knot we just made, and then the 2 cords adjacent to it on the left, and make a square knot. As you can see, my square knot is not super tight against the square knot above. We have a little bit of a gap, about 0.5 centimeter from the top square knot and this row. Then repeat the same thing on the right side. All you have to do is continue this square knot pattern, adding 1 square knot in each row until you reach the very bottom, with only the anchor cords on the far left and the far right left over. Continue this pattern downwards. So once the pattern has complete, with all the vertical cords except for the far left 2 cords and the far right 2 cords, we're now going to add 1 more row of alternating square knots here, starting underneath and in between the far left 2 square knots, and then we're going to continue this pattern to the right. As you can see, there is consistent spacing between all of the square knot rows, and this is something we're going to keep in mind throughout this pattern for the other tiers as well. Continue this square knot pattern to the right, stopping after and underneath the far right 2 square knots. Once that row is complete, we're now going to take the anchor cords from the left and the right side, bring them to the center, and then there should be 1 cord on each side that is slightly longer. We're going to use those cords as the working cords for a square knot. So grab the longer cord on each side and use those as a working cords to connect the 2 sides together with a square knot. Then taking the left 2 cords underneath the square knot, we're going to make an alternating square knot on the left side with the left 2 cords. Then we're going to repeat the same thing on the right side. Now underneath here, we're going to make 3 more rows of square knots all around. So starting our first row, we're going to start with the middle 4 cords, make a square knot, and then continue with 4 cords after that to the left and to the right until the row is complete all the way through the back. So this first row is complete now, and what you're going to do is make 2 more rows underneath. Once the 2 rows have been added, we're now ready to seal our first plant pot. So we're going to take a strand of cord at 50 centimeters long, and we're going to make a gathering knot underneath the last row of square knots. So we're going to make a loop with one end, hold it with one hand, and then take the longer cord end and wrap it around the gathered cords several times. Then place the cord end through the loop that we made in the beginning with the other end, and then pull on the top end to tighten the knot. Cut off the excess cords from the gathering knot and then pull on the vertical cords underneath to make sure there are no scrunched up cords up at the top. Our first tier of the plant pot is now complete. To make the second tier, it's going to be a slightly different pattern to make the pod shape. So what we're going to do is separate out the cords into 2 groups of 18 cords. So once we have the cords separated, we're going to take 1 cord from each side and we're going to make double half hitch knots onto the gathered cords on the right and the left sides. So starting on the right side, we're going to take 1 cord and we're going to make a half hitch knot with the rest of the right cords as anchor cords. We're going to do the same thing with a cord on the left side. So make a half hitch knot with one cord as the working cord and then the remaining left cords as the anchor cords. Pull on the cords to tighten and then repeat for one more half hitch knot on both sides with the same working cords. Then taking another strand of cord on the right side, we're going to make another double half hitch knot with the gathered cords. Making sure that you don't include the cord from above, so the working cord that we use to make the double half hitch knot from above, leave that cord hanging at the back. Once the double half hitch knot has been made on this right side, we're going to do the same thing on the left side. Once the two double half hitch knots have been completed on both sides, we're going to bring the cords through the back, and with these 4 cords, we're going to make a square knot. Now we're going to repeat a similar pattern as we had just did, and we're going to take another cord from the anchor cords on the right side and make another double half hitch knot, and then repeat once more underneath on the right side with another strand of cord. Then repeat the same thing on the left side for 2 double half hitch knots with 2 separate cords. We have now added another 2 cords on both sides, and then at the back we're going to make 2 rows of horizontal square knots underneath the square knot from above. As you can see, this is the pattern that we're going to repeat. We're going to make 2 double half hitch knots on both sides after every square knot row is made. And then once the 2 double half hitch knots on both sides have been complete, you add another row of square knots. Now that the second row of square knots have been made, we're going to repeat the pattern again on both sides for 2 double half hitch knots with the gathered cords. Bring them to the back. And this time we're going to make 3 square knots. So this is what the pattern should look like once you make another row of square knots after you made 2 double half hitch knots on both sides. Continue repeating this downwards until you have 2 cords left over as anchor cords on both sides. So this is what the pattern should look like once it's complete. As you can see, there's 2 cords left on both sides as anchor cords. And then now, repeating similar to what we did in our first plant pot above, we're going to bring the 2 anchor cords together and we're going to make a square knot. Then underneath, we're going to add a row of alternating square knots all around. Continue this square knot row all around. Once this row has been completed all the way around, we're going to make 3 more rows of square knots underneath. Once the 3 extra rows of square knots have been made, we are now almost complete with the second tier plant pod. So what we're going to do now is take another strand of cord at 50 centimeters long and make another gathering knot underneath the last row of square knots. And now the second tier has been made. What we're going to do is repeat the exact same pattern to make the third plant pod at the bottom. However, this time we're going to start off with the 2 longest cords on both sides. So after you have split the cords into 2 groups of 18 cords each, we take the longest cord from each side to make the double half hitch knots. And then what you're going to do is continue using the longest cord every time as you continue the pattern down below. So once you are complete now with the third plant pod, we're going to seal off the bottom with one last gathering knot. This time we're going to use a slightly longer cord at 70 centimeters long, just so that we can wrap it around a few more times since this is the last ending gathering knot. Then lastly, trim your fringe at the very bottom to your desired length. And so that concludes our 3-tier plant pot tutorial. I just wanted to let you guys know that for the month of May, it is Plant Hanger Month on our Bochinot Macrame community on Patreon. And this is our exclusive macrame community where we help guide those who are looking to advance their macrame skill set by releasing several lessons of macrame tutorials on a weekly basis in regards to a specific theme per month. So the theme for May is plant hangers. So if you guys like to learn more about plant hangers, ceiling plant hangers, wall plant hangers, how to start and end a plant hanger, and more DIY tutorials just like the one that we had released today on the 3-tier plant pod, then you may be interested in checking out our Bochinot Macrame community on Patreon. If you're interested, check out the link in the video description below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram with your finished creation at Bochinot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.